Welcome back to our channel at Audiobooks. Don't Believe Everything That You Think by Joseph Nguyen. Part 2. Chapter 10. Unconditional Love and Creation. The greatest power that mankind could ever achieve is the power of unconditional love. This is when people love with no limitations, conditions or boundaries. Tony Green. Unconditional love. I learned about unconditional love from my extraordinary girlfriend, McKenna. For most of my life, I always questioned everything. I had to know the reason behind why things were the way they were, otherwise, I would go crazy. I couldn't just experience life knowing the meaning and reasoning behind everything. Naturally, as anyone would in a relationship, after dating her for about a year at the time, I asked McKenna why she loved me. She innocently replied that she didn't know why, she just knew she did. Then she asked me why I loved her, and I listed off dozens of different reasons why. It ranged from her beautiful smile to her adorable laugh, how pure her heart is, how much she loves her family, how intelligent she is, and the list goes on almost indefinitely. We've been dating for 6 years now, and every few months after that first time I would ask her why she loved me, and even up until this point, she still says the same thing: I don't know. I just know that I love you a lot. This slightly bothered me for so long, because I didn't understand why she didn't know why she loved me. I could list off 50 reasons of why I loved her, but she couldn't list a few. Even still, throughout the years, I loved her so much, I didn't really mind that she didn't know. I just accepted it and continued to love her anyway, because I couldn't help myself. It wasn't until a few months ago that it dawned on me as to why she couldn't think of reasons of why she loved me. I began to question the reasons that I had for why I loved McKenna. Then I had an epiphany that changed my life forever. I asked myself, did I love her because of her laugh or because she loves helping other people? What happens if she doesn't laugh one day, or doesn't help someone that day? Do I stop loving her if she doesn't do the things that I said were the reasons that I love her? I realized that if I create reasons for why I love her, then it makes my love for her conditional to those specific traits or actions, and if she doesn't do them, then I don't love her. This is, of course, not true. In that moment, I had the awe-inspiring insight that McKenna couldn't list off reasons of why she loved me, because her love for me was unconditional. There were no reasons for why she loved me, because if she had reasons, it would mean she only loved me if I were exuding those traits, or doing those things she had in her mind. Her love for me is not based on my mood or what I did. Her love for me goes beyond all reasons, and does not come from a place of reciprocity. She does not love me because I love her, nor is she loving me because of what I can do for her. She is experiencing so much love within herself, that it's an outpour of an abundance of love, that she is gifting me unconditionally. Attempting to articulate the feeling of this, and where it comes from, is probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, because I'm attempting to describe the indescribable. From this experience, I learned to make my love for McKenna unconditional by not placing reasons or conditions for when I would love her, because if I did that, by default I place conditions on when I would not love her. There is just so much love in me now, because I've experienced it, that there is simply an outpour of unconditional love where I can't help but love her no matter what. This unconditional love doesn't come from external reasons, but comes from within, from the infinite source we all came from. We are all connected to this pure, unconditional love, which is God, the universe, or whichever name you choose to use. The only thing that gets in the way of this is our own thinking, which separates and cuts us off from that unconditional love. Unconditional creation. Unconditional creation is the purest form of creation there is. When something is created from unconditional love, we can't help but to stand there and admire it in awe. Unconditional creation is always innovative, unique, new, captivating, bold, different, revolutionary in its own way. Very few people operate in this space, because we always put conditions around what we do or make. For example, whenever we are working to achieve a goal of making more money, we might go and try to create income for ourselves. This is conditional creation, because no one wants money just to have money. Most people want money for something else, or to be able to use it for another thing they want. This, by nature, makes what they are creating conditional. They are only creating this because they want something else out of it. When we create something for something else, typically we do not enjoy the process of creating, because it is always just a means to an end, never an end in itself. This is why we always feel like we're chasing, grinding, hustling, trying, and feeling constantly stressed and overwhelmed. Even after we accomplish our goal, we'll only enjoy it for those few seconds and then we're off to another goal we have to chase, because we never actually got what we were looking for. What we're ultimately looking for are feelings. We want more money to get a sense of security and peace. We want to spend time with our family, because it makes us feel so much love and joy. We want to do what we love, because it gives us a sense of fulfillment inside. These are all ultimately feelings that we are trying to get, but we keep thinking that the goal or object we want will give us those feelings. This idea is inherently flawed, because our feelings can only ever be generated from within us, not from external things. External things can prompt us to create the feelings, but ultimately it is us that produces those feelings from within ourselves. What's paradoxical, like everything in the duality of life, is that when we create something without conditions or reasons, we actually immediately feel all of the positive feelings we want. Unconditional creation is creating something without it being for another purpose, but purely to create it, because we just want to create it. It's not for money, fame, love, or anything else. We create it simply because we want to create it. This is creation from abundance. When we create from this state, we already feel whole inside and all of the love we want to feel is what we're feeling in the moment. We can only pursue unconditional creation if we are in the state of non-thinking. Our brains will make us think that it is pointless to do something just simply because we want to, but that is the secret. As soon as we do things for no other reason, we step into the realm of living our life unconditionally. This is when we experience flow, oneness, and a direct connection to the universe or God. Chapter 11. What do you do next after experiencing peace, joy, love and fulfillment in the present? Don't think. It complicates things. Just feel, and if it feels like home then follow its path. R.M. Drake. If you've been applying the principles in the book, you've most likely been able to find peace through non-thinking. If not, I highly encourage you to remember that all of our negative feelings come from our thinking. All you have to do is become aware of that fact, which will settle the thinking just like the debris settling in dirty water. Once you see that it is just your thinking and that there's nothing to be afraid of, then you will experience true peace in your life in the present. Once you have been able to experience peace, you might be unsure as to what to do next. At this point in time, you may be experiencing worry, anxiety, and doubt. Many of my clients, including myself, began to wonder if they lost their edge and drive to do anything in the world. Don't worry, this is all normal and part of the process of awakening. You've already learned the hardest part, which is to practice non-thinking and preventing your negative thinking from controlling your life. The reason why we feel worried, anxiety, and doubt after we've experienced peace is because we have just let go of everything we thought we knew in the world. What actually happened was the death of the personal ego. A natural consequence is that once the personal ego is threatened, it will do everything in its power to regain control over your life again. The ego is something that we can't quite get rid of forever, which is why even after you experience peace, there may be feelings of doubt, worry, and anxiety coming up. It is in this moment that the ego, thinking, will come back up to attempt to reclaim your throne. But worry not, because you've already learned how you can quickly dismantle your ego, your thinking, by remembering that your thinking is the only cause of your negative feelings. The point is to not try to prevent your thinking from ever entering your mind, but to shorten the time that it takes for you to remember that it is just your thinking that's causing the negative emotions. It's impossible to prevent thinking from happening, because it's so ingrained in us. For example, it's in our human nature that when we suddenly see that we're about to step on a venomous snake on our path, we will freak out. But when you realize that it's just a piece of rope, you see through the illusion, knowing that your thinking is what caused you to become afraid, and you resume your peaceful walk on the beautiful trail. We can't prevent that initial reaction, but we can always remember the truth and return to our natural state of peace, and that's all that matters. Another reason that we may feel anxiety, worry, and doubt once we experience peace, is because we were using a colossal amount of energy when we were thinking all of the time. Most people spend the majority of their day in a state of stress, thinking, which consumes enormous amounts of energy. When we stop thinking, this energy you used to think is now freed up, but it hasn't been directed anywhere yet, and what happens is we return to our old patterns of putting that energy back into thinking, because that is how we were conditioned. What we can do in this case is to channel the newfound energy into our goals of inspiration. This is the cure and intervention of preventing this energy from going back into overthinking. For this to work, make sure that you've spent some time creating your goals out of inspiration versus desperation, and having it top of mind so that you can channel all of your energy towards it once you experience this phenomenon. If you have only goals of desperation in your mind, then directing energy towards it will only perpetuate the thinking and negative feelings. What tends to help many people in this stage is to also have an activation ritual. An activation ritual is a morning routine that helps them get into a state of non-thinking and flow. It helps you build momentum in a positive direction immediately when you wake up, so that it's easier to stay in that state of non-thinking for the rest of the day. An object in motion will stay in motion. I never understood why spiritual masters and all great leaders have a morning routine, until I understood the power of non-thinking and momentum. Here's the good news. Now that all of your energy isn't tied up into thinking anymore, you can now use this freed up energy and channel it into creating new goals from inspiration to fuel and propel you into your new life full of peace, joy, and love. Chapter 12. Nothing is either good or bad. There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. William Shakespeare. Here's an analogy that helps put this into perspective. On a piano, there are 88 keys. When we look at a piano, we don't point out specific keys for no reason and say that that key is wrong. We only think a specific key is wrong if we think someone is playing a specific song and hits a key that isn't in the song. Inherently, the piano has no wrong keys though. There are only keys and notes that sound more or less pleasant when played consecutively. Just like how there are no wrong keys on the piano, there are no wrong decisions in life. There's only thinking that give us pleasant or not so pleasant feelings. When we put things into a bucket of right or wrong, good or bad, this creates duality and conditions in our lives, which determines how we feel. For instance, if we believe that opposing political parties are wrong or bad, this can cause animosity within us and make us feel a concoction of negative emotions. If, on the other hand, we see different political parties in the same way as there are different keys on the piano and how there are no inherently wrong parties, then we open ourselves up to experience love, joy, and peace in the moment. We begin to see alternative perspectives that we haven't seen before and have an opportunity to deepen our understanding of the true nature of life. It's like if we are hiking on a mountain and stop at specific points to look at the beautiful view. There are no wrong spots that we can stop at, stand in, and take in the magnificence of nature, but by being open to all possible spots we can stand in, we can see the view from different vantage points we haven't seen from before. Instead of looking for right or wrong, good or bad in the world, look for truth. Instead of trying to prove we are right and they are wrong, or how they are better and we're worse, look for the truth in what's in front of you. I would only caution this by saying that many people believe what they think is the truth. For the most part, without this deeper understanding of life, most of what we think is not truth, even though it may seem like it. True truth is not subjective. If it is true for one person, but not for another, then it is not universal truth. Look for what is universally true for every single conscious human being on the planet, no matter who they are, where they are from, and what their background is. That is the true truth, and that is where you'll find everything you've been searching for. Remember that the only place you can find this is deep within your being, so don't try to go looking for it outside of you. If you're confronted with something that may stir up negative emotions, go within yourself to find the source of universal truth deep within your soul. If you try to look for the answers outside, or try to dig into external reasons for the root of why you feel this way, you will be looking for the rest of eternity, and will never find it. Negative emotions are an indication of misunderstanding. When we are gripped by negative emotions, it means that we believe what we are thinking. It is in this moment that we simply forgot where our experience comes from and that our thinking is the cause of our negative emotions. All you have to do is remember that thinking is the root cause of how we're feeling. Once this is brought into your awareness, don't fight the thinking. Just become aware that it is your thinking that's causing the ill feelings, welcome it with love, and it will slowly dissipate before your eyes. Not too long after, you'll return to your natural state of peace, love, and joy. Chapter 13. How do you know what to do without thinking? The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. Albert Einstein. In the previous chapter, we discussed how there is no right or wrong in this world. This chapter will build on the last to deepen our understanding and illuminate how to know what to do without thinking. Although there are no right or wrong decisions we can make, just like how there are no wrong keys on a piano, there are decisions, or keys, that are more pleasant than others depending on the context. Knowing that there is no right or wrong relieves us from quite a bit of pressure to choose the right one. When we make decisions, we want to rely on non-thinking. When we try to think, analyze, create pros and cons lists, and ask everyone, including our pets, for advice, it causes anxiety and frustration until we make the decision. Most of the time, we already know deep down what to do in any specific situation. This is often referred to as your gut feeling, intuition, or inner wisdom. What we do is try to confirm our intuition with the external world, and this is where most of the negative emotions begin to surface, wreaking havoc on our mental state because of everyone's opinions. Only you can know what you want to do. No one else can tell you this. There will be mentors and coaches that can guide you to help you along the way, but the best ones will tell you to listen to your intuition and look within yourself for the answer. The truth is only ever within you. This is why many of us experience the phenomenon of regret, when we knew deep down what we should have done based on our gut feeling, but we ignored it and listened to someone else's advice or opinion. Your intuition will always lead you to where you need to go and what you should do at any moment in time. It's like a real-time inner GPS that will tell you when to take a detour, and which path you should take if there is a blockage in the road to your destination. It's guaranteed that our inner GPS will guide us to exactly where we want to go, but what's not guaranteed is how or which path it will put us on to take us there. There are infinite circumstances that can happen on the journey to the destination, but you can rest assured your GPS will get you there. Important note: society will almost never confirm our intuition until it's mainstream already. For this reason, if you try to look outside for confirmation on what you know to be true for you, you'll almost always get backlash and differing opinions on what next steps you should take. Avoid looking externally for answers. Follow your intuition, your gut feeling, your inner wisdom, and the universe or God. When you do this, you will begin to see miracles occurring in your life that you never could have expected or even dreamed of. Those who have the faith and courage to do this will discover the true joy, peace, and love they have been looking for while enjoying the miracle of life. So how do we know what to do without thinking? The truth is, most of us know what to do, but we are just afraid to do it. For instance, if we want to lose weight, most of us know exactly what we need to do. The formula to losing weight isn't rocket science or written in hieroglyphics. Most of us know that all we need to do is burn more calories than we consume, work out, and eat healthy foods, and we'll lose weight. For anything in life, you most likely already know deep down what to do, but are afraid of doing it, or don't believe that you are good enough to do it. The first step is realizing that you already know what to do, you just think you don't, because of fear or self-doubt. If you don't have any fear or self-doubt about the situation, and still see that you don't know what to do, then the next step is to trust your inner wisdom, infinite intelligence, that it will give you the answers you need. We have the ability to access an infinite number of thoughts, so there's definitely no shortage of ideas on what you can do in any given moment. The only thing that is stopping us from accessing this abundance of knowledge is our own thinking. Henry Ford once said, "Whether you think that you can or can't, you're right." If we walk around our lives thinking we can't, then we immediately block ourselves from the limitless possibilities of what we can do in any given moment in time. But when we release the brake in our mind and realize that it's just our thinking holding us back, we automatically return to our natural state of abundance and unlimited possibilities, and in that moment, we can receive any answer we need on what to do. In short, know that you already know, and if you don't know, know that you can know what you need to know. If you know that you can always know, then what you need to know will always come to you. Trust in your own intuition and inner wisdom. It has always and will always be there for you when you need it, as long as you trust that it will. Chapter 14. How to follow your intuition. Have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. Steve Jobs. In a previous chapter, we talked about how we don't need to think in order to thrive in the world, and that the way we do thrive is to remove the thinking we have going on. The state of flow is a state of pure oneness and a direct connection to everything around us. Because there is no separation, when we are in that state, we can also say that it is a state where we are in direct connection and alignment with God, universe, infinite intelligence. What thinking does is sever this connection we have with the divine, causing us to feel stress, frustration, anger, resentment, depression, and all of these negative emotions many of us feel on a daily basis. This is why some religions describe hell as the complete separation from God. From now on, for simplicity's sake, I'll be using the term non-thinking instead of flow, but they really are synonymous when I use them in this book. This state of non-thinking also means a direct connection to infinite intelligence. Many will attribute the state of non-thinking or flow with a particular activity that we love to do, and that's the only time we can be in flow. This is far from the truth. We can be in a state of non-thinking at any point in time. The only time we can really be in a state of non-thinking is in the present moment. We can only see reality in the present moment, and when we are actively thinking, it means we are either in the past or future, which don't exist. Only in the present moment can the truth be found. This is why all of the spiritual masters and leaders always teach to meditate, pray, and to be in the present moment. In the Bible, when Moses asks God her name, she replies with I am. God didn't say that she was or will be, because they don't exist, but simply with I am. God, truth, the universe, freedom, peace, joy, and love, these terms are all synonymous, can only be found, and therefore experienced, in the present. When you're following your intuition, it means you are trusting yourself, and having faith that you always have the inner wisdom necessary to help guide you through everything in life. This is a state of non-thinking or flow. Let's explore how we can make this concept practical and bring it into our everyday lives. What does following your intuition and inner wisdom look like, and how can we do it? When you're following your intuition, you're completely tapped into something greater than your personal self. You're in a state of non-thinking, flow, and direct connection with God. In this state, you always know what you need to do without thinking and are guided by infinite intelligence. It almost seems like we're not doing anything when we're in this zone, because we lose our sense of personal self and become one with life. When we're in this state, miracles occur, such as business deals coming out of nowhere, people showing up at the right place at the right time, money comes in exactly when we need it, connections that we were looking for spontaneously fall upon our laps, and life seems almost magical. Time seems to warp and bend around us, and it's because there is no sense of it. We proceed to then accomplish more within a few days than others do within a month. Abundance, love, joy, peace, harmony, and gratitude are inevitable and inseparable feelings that are experienced in this state. Every single person has experienced instances where they have felt like this before. Although many have experienced this phenomenon, very few are able to maintain it for extended periods of time. The main reason is because most relapse back into thinking and believe that they have to figure it out themselves. It is when we begin thinking that we lose this power of creating miracle-like events and circumstances. The truth is that we don't have to have it all figured out, nor do we even have to figure it all out. How can our limited minds possibly understand and try to manipulate the entire world to our desires? It is only when we think we know more than God that we run into problems. The great news is that we don't have to know more than her, nor do we have to even think. All we have to do is trust in our own intuition, and have faith that our inner wisdom will show us the way that is best for us. When you ask people who are the most abundant, joyful, and successful how they made it, they will usually attribute their success to some sort of higher power or luck. These people have trusted in something greater than themselves and thus attribute it to that instead of attributing their success to sheer willpower and brute force. There's so much in life that is completely out of our control, and we can really only control a very small portion of it. This is not to say that we give up, because we can't control our lives, it's quite the opposite. When we realize that we don't have to control and try to force everything to happen our way, we become free from suffering, pain, and frustration, and begin to fall into this state of non-thinking where things just all happen for us instead of to us. We begin to see that everything was perfectly placed in our lives to help us become the exact person we are now, and that if anything were changed, we would not have what we do now. There are millions of small circumstances and events that have been meticulously orchestrated for us to be where we are now. To plan that would be impossible and futile, yet here we are. This is the miracle of life. To go back on a point we just made about us not having to control things in our lives, there's a caveat I want to highlight. It is true that we cannot control everything that happens in our lives, but what we can control is whether we think or not, which is the root cause of all of our problems and negative emotions. We can decide to change our experience of life whenever we want and how we feel at any moment. This is how we can choose to be happy, by choosing to let go of our thinking. Isn't that what ultimately matters at the end of the day? It's not about what we have, but how we feel inside that is the true measure of success, joy, and fulfillment. The other point I wanted to bring up is that although we can't control a lot of things, what we can have a say in is what we want in our lives, but not necessarily the how. For instance, we have the gift of imagination, access to infinite intelligence, which means we can come up with anything that we want in our lives. This is an amazing blessing, but where things can go sour is when we think that we need to figure out the how in order to make it happen. It is at this point that most people give up, or continue down the path of brute force, to try to bring it to life and suffer daily for it. This is why people believe that we have to work hard and suffer for what we want in life. That is simply not true. It is only true if we think we have to figure out the how to get what we want in life. Our job is to come up with what we want, not how to get it. The how is really up to the universe. This is the best case scenario anyway, because there are an infinite number of ways to bring about what you want in life. So for our little finite brains to figure it out would be futile, nonetheless. We only suffer when we try to figure it all out, but we don't have to. This is when we want to rely on our intuition and inner wisdom to help show us exactly what we need to do in real time to manifest what we want. There's no need to try to figure it all out in advance. Our part is to hold in our minds what we want and get into a state of non-thinking. This enables us to access our infinite intelligence, God, so that the answers are revealed to us exactly when we need it. The path forward is only revealed when we begin walking. There's never going to be a time where the entire path is illuminated for us to see beforehand. That would completely negate the need for faith, and that is why faith and trust is of utmost importance when manifesting something. We must have complete, unwavering faith that what we want to create will come to us, and we can only do this by fully trusting in the universe to orchestrate how it will happen. We can always get what we desire in life, it just may not be on our timeline, or in the way we want it to manifest. Our intuition and inner wisdom, God, actually speaks to us all of the time. You know that small voice inside that always knows what you should do. Maybe it's to leave your job, forgive a person that hurt you, ask someone out, or reconnect with someone. It's that gut feeling you get where you know what you need to do. Have you ever regretted not doing something in a moment your gut told you to do it? Have you ever had a gut feeling to do something, but you have no logical reasoning as to why, but you did it anyway and amazing things happened afterward? That is your intuition. Our intuition does come to us in the form of thoughts, but remember that there's a stark difference between thoughts and thinking, as we discussed in a previous chapter. Thoughts are divine by nature and feel like they pop into our minds out of nowhere. Thinking, on the other hand, is a manual, strenuous effort that we create ourselves, which feels very heavy and typically has negative emotions attached to it. When you have divine thoughts from infinite intelligence, there's a sense of knowingness to it. It contains the truth and you just know deep down that it's right. Your intuition will almost never seem logical or rational, but that's exactly what we want, because we don't want it to be predictable. If it were predictable, it wouldn't be miraculous, and it wouldn't contain the infinite possibilities of the universe, which are all spontaneous by nature. Your intuition will almost always go against your logical, rational mind, so be prepared for that. It will whisper to you that you should talk to this random person in a coffee shop that leads to a beautiful friendship, or for you to call up a friend spontaneously, where you find out they really needed someone to be there for them during a difficult time. It will tell you to step into and live in your divine gift, and put yourself out there to share the truth of what you know. It will softly beckon you to pursue what you truly want in life versus following what everyone else says that you should want. These are a few examples of the infinite numbers of ways it will speak to you, and when you follow it, it will always create miracles and abundance beyond your wildest imaginations. So why don't more people listen to their intuition, if it always knows what to do and creates abundance whenever it is followed? Fear. Listening to our intuition can be scary or extremely daunting. This is because our intuition lives in the space of the unknown. In other words, our intuition is spiritual and operates in the field of infinite possibilities, which by nature is the field of unknown. We as humans always fear the unknown, because we can't predict what might happen. It is only when we step into the unknown that we can begin to experience the limitless possibilities that life can bring to us. This is why magical things and miracles happen when we trust our intuition. We are literally stepping into the zone of pure possibility. It is for this reason that we only need to know the what of what we want to manifest, but not the how. The only way you can enter this space of miracles is through non-thinking. If we think, we immediately get ejected out of the space and enter a state of anxiety, worry and suffering. Our thinking will try to predict what might happen based on the past. This is why most people get more of the same of what they have always gotten. They try to use their limited personal mind to create something they have never experienced before, innocently not realizing that they must step into the unknown by entering the state of non-thinking and listening to their intuition. We can only ever create something we have never experienced in the realm of infinite possibilities, but the only way to make that happen is to go where we haven't gone before, which is the unknown. In summary, your intuition always knows what you need to do in the present moment, but the only way to access it is by getting into a state of non-thinking. Your personal mind will freak out, because you're stepping into the space of infinite possibilities, the unknown, but if you remember that it is just thinking that is making you feel fear, the fearful thinking will fall away, and the courage you need to act on your intuition will naturally surface. It is in this moment that you must have faith in your inner wisdom, God, to guide you through life even when you don't know what will happen next, but that's the adventure and joy in it. The unknown is also the only way to manifest what you want in life if you don't already have it. You have to do what you haven't done in order to get what you don't have. When you're operating from intuition, it's not like you're going to feel fear all of the time. The fear is only present as long as your thinking is revolving around fear. Once you acknowledge the fear and understand that it's only your thinking that's causing those feelings, the illusion will fall apart, and you'll fall back into peace, joy, and pure love. This is the space you want to stay in, which will allow you to create the positive feelings that are the prerequisite to manifesting all you could possibly imagine for yourself. Chapter 15. Creating Space for Miracles. Today I make space for miracles. I recognize that it's not how big a miracle is that's important, but how much room I create for it. Kyle Gray. The story of the Zen master and a scholar. Empty your cup. Once upon a time, there was a wise Zen master. People traveled from far away to seek his help. In return, he would teach them and show them the way to enlightenment. On this particular day, a scholar came to visit the master for advice. I have come to ask you to teach me about Zen, the scholar said. Soon, it became obvious that the scholar was full of his own opinions and knowledge. He interrupted the master repeatedly with his own stories and failed to listen to what the master had to say. The master calmly suggested that they should have tea. So the master gently poured his guest a cup. The cup was filled, yet he kept pouring until the cup overflowed onto the table, onto the floor, and finally onto the scholar's robes. The scholar cried, "Stop! The cup is full already. Can't you see?" "Exactly," the Zen master replied with a smile. "You are like this cup, so full of ideas that nothing more will fit in. Come back to me with an empty cup." It is ironic how much could be written about nothing. That's what space is, nothing. When we study the universe and quantum physics, we realize that everything comes from nothing. Therefore, the great spiritual masters call this the great nothingness. For there to be creation, there must first be space. The same is true for our own minds. If you want something new to be created, such as new thoughts, then you must first create space, so that you can receive new ideas that can change your life. Just like the teacup, if your mind is completely full of old thinking, it is impossible to have any new thoughts come into your mind to create the change you seek. The way we can create this space is through non-thinking. As soon as we stop our strenuous efforts to think, we immediately create space where new thoughts and ideas can enter our minds. Questions that challenge our current way of thinking are also a great way to create space in our minds. All the magic happens in this space of nothingness. For instance, great athletes go through intense periods of training, but the best athletes know that they need an equally intense period of rest afterwards to stay in peak performance. It is during this rest period that they recover, build muscle, and become stronger. This space they create for themselves through rest is where everything they wanted from the workout manifests. When Thomas Edison was confronted with a particularly challenging problem, he would sleep in his chair while holding a steel ball in each of his hands. Eventually, he would slip into a deep enough stage of sleep where the ball would drop, wake him up, and a solution to his problem would pop into his mind. Everything comes from nothing, and Edison understood this concept of creating space for new thoughts to enter his mind instead of attempting to effort his way into solving problems with his old way of thinking. He knew that old thinking was not going to give him the solution to his challenges. We can't solve problems by using the same level of consciousness we were at when we created them. Albert Einstein. Einstein had different quirky, enigmatic behaviors just like Edison, but a similar understanding of creating space. When Einstein was stuck on a difficult problem, he would stop working on it and play the violin. As he was playing, the answer would come to him out of seemingly nowhere, and then he'd have the solution to his problem. Einstein had created space within his mind through non-thinking to be able to receive divine downloads from the universe. We don't have to try to figure everything out. Even the people we deem as geniuses didn't strain and effort their way into making the greatest discoveries in the world. So what makes us think that we have to? We are no different than them and are all connected to the same source. With the correct understanding, we can also receive insights to any challenge we're facing. We're only ever one thought, one insight, and one idea away from living a completely different experience of life. Here's the process for receiving divine downloads when you're confronted with a challenge. Become aware that your thinking is the root cause of all negative emotions. Create space by surrendering any manual thinking from the personal mind, and have complete faith that your inner wisdom, God or universe, infinite intelligence, will give you the answer. Also surrender the how, and when the answer will come to you. Become aware of any feelings that arise as you surrender, and magnify those feelings of love, peace, and joy. Meet what you're facing with love and the answer will come to you. If it seems almost too simple, that's a good thing. The truth is always simple. Although it may be simple, it's not always easy, and even the greatest spiritual masters struggle at times. What's important is not when we get caught in our thinking, because it's inevitable, but what we do when we catch ourselves thinking again. As long as you continually remember that we can only ever feel what we're thinking and that thinking is the root cause of all of our suffering, then you're free. Chapter 16. What happens when you begin living in non-thinking, potential obstacles? Do not let the behavior of others destroy your inner peace. Dalai Lama. As you go along your journey of non-thinking, you'll inevitably hit some roadblocks along the way. So I'd like to bring up some of those potential issues before you encounter them, so that it is a little bit easier for you. Once you begin living your life in non-thinking, you'll be having the time of your life, not having very many worries, stress, or problems in your life. Many of them will just vanish before your eyes, because if you don't see things as problems anymore, they literally stop being a problem for you. What you'll notice is that you haven't felt this type of peace and serenity in your life before, and thus it will feel unfamiliar. We as humans biologically don't like what's unfamiliar, because it means uncertainty. What's ironic is that right about this time is when most people begin thinking that something is wrong, because they feel so happy and peaceful the majority of the day. Many feel like they're not as productive, have lost their edge, or are just lazier. This is far from the truth, and it's just your brain attempting to begin thinking again, to create the illusion of safety it wants to feel. The truth is that we are most productive as humans when we are happy and in a state of non-thinking. Time seems to fly when we are in a state of pure joy. Tasks are easier, we perform better, people gravitate to us, we attract way more abundance, and miracles begin to occur out of nowhere. You just have to stay in the state of non-thinking long enough to experience these things, and you'll never want to go back. This is when faith becomes of the utmost importance, having faith that things will be okay. Know that the universe is working for you, not against you. That everything happens for a reason, and that there are no failures in life, just lessons and opportunities for us to grow. We must have faith in the unknown, because that's the only place that contains the possibility for anything to be different than the life we're living right now. The unknown is where all possibilities exist, including everything you could possibly ever want for your life. Once you have the courage to make the leap into the unknown and to not be afraid of it anymore, it's impossible that your life won't change. If you begin to feel like something's wrong, because you feel way too peaceful and content, know that it's only your mind trying to make you think again. Your mind is the greatest salesman, and knows exactly what to say to get you to bring you back into its vicious cycle of destructive thinking. It is in this moment that you have the choice to have faith in the unknown and stay in the feeling of happiness, peace, and love, or to go back to the old patterns of familiar pain and psychological suffering. We can either choose to be free and happy in the unknown, or to be confined and suffer in the familiar. If you do fall back into thinking, it is completely okay. Do not beat yourself up about it. Don't feel guilty that it happened. There's no need to punish yourself, because that will only perpetuate the thinking. Know that it is absolutely human to think. Once you catch yourself and see that it is your thinking that's causing your suffering, that's all you have to do in order to bring yourself to a state of peace, happiness, and love again. The transition can happen painlessly and effortlessly if you let it. Chapter 17. Now what? There will come a time when you believe everything is finished, that will be the beginning. Louis L'Amour. Although this is the end of the book, it is just the beginning of a new life for you. You are only ever one thought away from peace, love, and joy, which come from a state of non-thinking. Remember this and keep it close to your heart, because it is all the hope you need when life gets inevitably tough. In the beginning, I promised you that you will not be the same person as you were before you read this book. If you began reading this book with the intention of having an open and willing mind, then you have already received numerous insights that have completely changed the way you look at life, and thus you are not the same person as you were before. Once you see something new from an insight, you cannot unsee it. Once your consciousness expands, it cannot contract again. We may forget from time to time, and cause ourselves to suffer when we begin thinking again, but as soon as we remember that, we immediately realize that we are the ever-expanding awareness of life itself and find love, peace, and joy in the present. If this seems like it is too simple, and that it can't be all there is, that is just your mind causing you to think again. The truth is simple and will always be. Anything that makes something complex and intricate is only taking you further away from the truth. The truth is not something you think, but something that you know and feel deep in your soul. Listen to that still inner wisdom inside of you that knows all of this. Let it guide you through your life. We are most fulfilled when we listen to our soul. The world will continuously advertise to us that we are not enough, that we are missing something, or don't have everything we want. People will constantly bombard you with their own opinions, judgments, and advice. Know that they are innocently caught up in their thinking and thank them for caring, but do not fall into the illusion that you need any of that. Everything you could possibly ever want and need is already inside of you. You are already all of the love, joy, peace, and fulfillment you have ever wanted. It is only when we forget that fact and get caught up in our thinking that we do not see it. Continue to live in this state of pure peace, and let go of any thinking that may pop up in your mind. The longer you stay in this space, the more miracles will show up in your life. Although you can go and share this message with every person you meet, you won't even need to because they will notice something completely different about you. You'll be glowing, vibrant, and emanating pure love and joy, and they will begin asking why and how. You are now equipped with everything you need to know on how to stop your own psychological suffering and embody a state of peace, love, and joy, which is always available to you at all times. There's a good chance that you have already experienced the bliss of knowing and being this. There is absolutely no coincidence that you have picked up this book, and for us to be able to share our journey here together. I am always amazed at all of the divine intercessions that have to had happened for us to be here together right now. It is truly humbling and an incredible blessing that you have allowed me to guide you through this infinitely beautiful experience we call life. Before we close this chapter, I do have one small favor to ask. If you have found this book helpful or insightful, it would be an incredible honor if you could take 60 seconds to leave a review about this book on Amazon. I would truly love to hear about your thoughts, insights, feedback, your personal journey, and everything in between. The few words you share there will help spread this message to so many souls who are also looking for the same answers you are, and it will change someone's life. Because who doesn't read Amazon reviews before they buy something, right? For anyone that is interested in connecting with me even further, I would love to hear from you at hello@josephnuyen.org about anything and everything. It brings me such a deep feeling of joy to hear other people's stories, so I do keep my inbox open for those who would like to share. I look forward to hearing from you soon. With love and light, Joseph. P.S. In the next few pages, there will be a summary and guides to help you implement much of what is mentioned in this book. If you feel inspired to get additional help with applying these principles to change your life or business, I'd love to invite you to visit my website, www.josephnuyen.org, to explore possibilities of how we can work together. Summary of non-thinking. Thinking is the root cause of all suffering. There is no other answer to why we feel negative emotions other than that it is from our own thinking. Everything can be traced back to our thinking, which makes problem solving very simple. Once we realize that our thinking is causing how we feel, we can let go of it and we return to our natural state of peace, love, and joy. When we let go of our thinking, it creates space for us to be able to allow all positive emotions we want to feel to surface from within us. We don't live in reality, we live in a perception of reality, which is created by our own thinking. Thinking is not an effect of our experiences, but the cause of it. The thoughts in our minds are not facts. Our thinking only has control over us if we believe it. Let go of the belief in the thought to let go of the suffering. Our feelings are direct feedback, and an innate internal guidance system to let us know whether we are lacking understanding or have absolute clarity of truth. Feelings are an invitation to deepen our understanding of the truth. We are in flow when we are not thinking. There is no separation between us and the universe and all of life when we are not thinking. It is only when we think that we cut ourselves from source and feel separate from all things, the birth of the ego. Thinking and thoughts are two different things. Thinking is a verb and requires our manual effort, which causes suffering. Thoughts are nouns, which do not come from us and are divine downloads from the universe. We think, because it is a biological response to survive. Our minds think only because it is trying to keep us alive, but it does not help us thrive. It is only concerned with our safety and survival, but not our fulfillment. Thinking holds us back from our highest selves, by causing negative feelings within us that prevent us from following our true callings. Our minds are limited to our personal experiences. If you want to receive insights, creativity, and knowledge beyond the capabilities of your current self, simply choose to listen to infinite intelligence rather than your finite mind. This infinite source of truth is available to all people at all times if we allow it to be. Universal intelligence or mind is the energy that is everything in this universe. It is the source of where everything comes from that is before form, and we are made up of it. This energy has a feeling, which is the feeling is love, peace, joy, connection, and well-being. This is what we fall back into when we let go of our thinking, and it is our natural state. Since we are all always connected to the same source of infinite intelligence, once we let go of our thinking, we access new thoughts, ideas, and insights, even if we have never experienced them before. The more we trust our intuition and this infinite intelligence, the more we will receive these insights that are always available to us. Peace, love, joy, and all positive emotions are our default states as humans. It is only when we begin thinking, then we get taken out of that natural state. Once we let go of our thinking, we fall back into our natural state of being and experience all positive feelings effortlessly. We are ever only one thought, or one insight away from expanding our consciousness and experiencing a deeper feeling of love at all times, which comes from a state of non-thinking. Clarity is the nature of our minds and our default state. It is only when we get caught up in our thinking that things do not seem so. If we let go of our thinking, we return to our factory default setting of peace, love, joy, and a quiet mind. There is nothing inherently wrong with anyone or anything in the universe, but our thinking will make us think so. You do not have to be fixed, because you are not broken. There is only something for you to realize and remember, which is that thinking is the root cause of our suffering. You do not have to do anything about your thinking. All you have to do is shift your understanding of thinking and you will fall back into the truth of who you are, which is beyond your thinking, your body, and everything you think you know. As soon as you let go of your thinking, you become one with infinite intelligence, allowing you to feel a never-ending abundance of love, peace, and joy that is always available to you, because that is your true nature. When you make space for infinite intelligence, it makes space for you. The more you trust it, the more it trusts you. There's never an end to how much space you can make for it. When you prioritize making space in your life, and in your mind for infinite intelligence to come through, your life will change. A guide to stop thinking. Eliminate things that may make you more prone to thinking, or things that cause you to be in a fight or flight mode. Eliminate as many things and actions in your life that do not inspire you or excite you. Create an environment that helps put you into a non-thinking state. Create a morning activation ritual to help you start your day in a peaceful, non-thinking state. Use this space to receive insights from infinite intelligence to help you navigate through life. Create space in your day to be able to decompress, relax, and return to a state of non-thinking. Write out things you can do during your day that can help you achieve this. It could be journaling, taking a walk, meditating, playing with your pets, taking a nap, doing yoga, or anything relaxing. Framework for how to stop thinking. Realize thinking is the root of all suffering. Understand the true nature of thinking. Realize if you're suffering, you're thinking. Realize the difference between thinking and thoughts. Don't try to find the root cause. Thinking is the root cause. Create a space for persisting negative thinking. Allow them to be there and acknowledge them for what they are. Understand that you are the sacred space that holds these feelings, but that you are not the feelings themselves. Don't be afraid to be alone with your thinking, and have the courage to allow it to be in your consciousness. Welcome it in and see that the thinking just wants to be acknowledged. Realize that negative thoughts only have power over you if you believe in them. Once you allow them to exist in your consciousness and don't resist the feelings, you can then look beyond the feelings to see the truth behind it all. Every feeling contains a seed of truth in it which will help you deepen your awareness and allow you to experience life more fully. Once you acknowledge the thinking, allow it all to pass and allow yourself to just be without attaching to anything. Naturally positive emotions will arise, like peace, love, and joy. Allow yourself to enjoy these emotions as they come up. If the negative feeling still persists, then go back to step 1 and repeat until you've been able to find some peace. Potential obstacles. Not wanting to let go of thinking, because you think that it is what got you to where you are. While this is true, you must realize that what got you here won't get you there. If you want to break the vicious cycle of suffering and the same self-destructive patterns repeating in your life, you'll have to do something different. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting a different result. The real question is, do you want to be happy or not? If you understand that thinking is the root cause of all of your suffering, and do not want to be unhappy any longer, then you will be able to make the leap of faith into non-thinking. Not enough faith. In order for there to even be a possibility that there could be a life filled with joy, peace, and love every single day, you must first believe that it is possible. One must also believe that they are part of something much bigger, that is the life force that has been taking care of them this whole time, the universe or God. Having faith in something much bigger than we are without being able to fully comprehend it with our finite minds is the only way we can surrender our manual efforts and experience total peace in our lives versus worrying about everything. Fear. Fear is a completely normal emotion when it comes to trusting in the universe, which is also the unknown. Fear is an indication that something is very important to us, so this is a great sign. Everything we could ever want is on the other side of fear, and deep down you know this is the truth. The test we must pass in order to obtain all we desire is fear itself. The way out is through and going deep within yourself to see and know that you will be okay no matter what. That this fear cannot and will not kill you, but if you do not confront it, it will take the life of all your dreams instead. Thinking is the root cause of fear. If you don't think, there is no fear. Follow the framework for how to stop thinking to overcome the fear and experience what life can be like without limits. How you will know if you're in a state of non-thinking. If you're not thinking, you will experience complete peace, love, joy, passion, excitement, inspiration, bliss, and any positive emotion your mind can conceive. You'll feel like you're in flow. You'll lose sense of time, space, and even yourself. You'll feel one with life. This is how you know you are not thinking. Reflection prompts. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much did you think today? 1 being low, 10 being high. What percentage of your day was spent in fight or flight mode? What percentage was spent in a relaxed, calm state? A guide to creating a non-thinking environment. Your environment will either induce and support the state of non-thinking, or it can make you more prone to thinking. Although we create our reality from the inside out, many times we are still affected by our environment. Since we are spiritual beings living in a physical world, we cannot completely detach from this 3D world just yet. So it is important to create an environment that is conducive to non-thinking. In order to be productive, the best way to do it is to eliminate distractions instead of trying to do more. Similarly, if we eliminate many of the things that we know that can trigger us to relapse back into thinking, then we will be able to stay in a peaceful state of non-thinking much easier. Remember that changing your environment, and not yourself, will not work long-term. A delicate blend of both will be what you need to create a beautiful life you love to live. Framework for removing thinking triggers. Perform an audit to see what things can make you more susceptible to thinking and make a list. Write down everything that comes to mind. What can help is to tap into your intuition and feel energetically in your body if the specific thing in your environment will help or hurt you. If you are in a calm, relaxed state, the answer will be obvious. If you're having trouble with coming up with things, try to remember what things tend to put you into a fight or flight mode, make you anxious, or overthink. Anything that puts you into a survival state will not help you maintain a state of non-thinking. If it is still difficult to think of things, you can keep a journal as you go about your week and write down anything that seems to put you into a fight or flight mode. You'll have a nice list by the end of the week. Organize all of the things you wrote down into categories. Here are some examples of categories. Physical health. What things that when you put into your body can make you more prone to experience a fight or flight response, anxiety, stress, overthinking. Foods, stimulants, drinks, etc. Physical environment. What things in your physical environment can make you more prone to experience a fight or flight response, anxiety, stress, overthinking. Digital environment. What things on your phone, computer, or TV can make you more prone to experience a fight or flight response, anxiety, stress, overthinking. Digital consumption. What media or content, when you consume, can make you more prone to experience a fight or flight response, anxiety, stress, overthinking. After you categorize everything, reorganize your list, and begin ranking the items from things that affect you most to the least. Choose the top items from each list and create an action item on what you plan to do in order to remove it from your environment. Choose only what would be manageable and possible for you to remove without making you prone to even more stress. This would defeat the purpose of the exercise. Start small, and after you've become acquainted with the changes and see the impact, you can begin eliminating other things. Framework for creating a non-thinking environment. Write down all of the things that help you get into a relaxed, peaceful, non-thinking state. These can be things like exercise, meditation, having a certain genre of music on, location, etc. Organize the items on your list into categories. Examples of categories. Physical health. What things that you put into your body help you to feel healthy, sustainably energized, and peaceful? Physical environment. What things in your physical environment help you feel aligned with your divine self? Digital environment. What things on your phone, computer, or TV help you to feel aligned with your divine self? Digital consumption. What media or content you consume helps you to feel aligned with your highest self? Rank the items in each category from most impactful to least impactful to helping you get into and remain in a non-thinking state. Choose the top items from each list and create an action item on how you will incorporate it into your life. Try not to do too much at once, because it can be overwhelming. Do what is manageable for you for now, and you can add on more later, after you've become acquainted with it. Create an activation ritual, or morning routine, that helps you get into a state of non-thinking and helps you align with your highest self. Plan out what the ideal morning routine looks like that you can do now. Start small and don't overwhelm yourself. Ensure that there is time for you to create space, like meditation, yoga, or any similar spiritual practice, to help you tune into infinite intelligence. How you start your day will create momentum for how your day will go. If you start your day off by checking your phone, emails, and what you have to do, you're starting your day in a stressful, fight or flight mode of thinking, which will carry on for the rest of the day. If you begin your day in a peaceful state and perform a routine that gets you into a state of non-thinking, you will carry that momentum throughout your day, and it will be much harder to get caught up in external things that could make you relapse back into thinking and stress. This is why all the greatest spiritual masters have morning rituals or routines of some kind. Framework for implementing non-thinking into your work. Create a list of things you do in your work that drain you of energy, things that you don't like doing or just feel overall heavy in your work. Create a list of things you do in your work that gives you energy, things that make you feel inspired, energetic, alive, and light. Go back through your whole list and give a rating for each activity that you do on a scale from 1 to 10, with 1 being extremely energy draining and 10 making you feel the most alive and inspired when you do it. Each week, eliminate 1 to 3 things from your energy draining list and do more of the activities that are 9 and 10 on your list. The goal is to get to a point where you're spending 80% of your work time doing things that are 9 and 10 on your list. A guide to overcoming destructive habits or behaviors. As you create more space and begin not thinking as much, you'll quickly discover that you will become aware of a lot of negative, destructive habits you may have that keep making you more prone to suffering. This is completely okay. Do not beat yourself up about it, because it will only make things worse. Here is a more detailed guide below that will help you break any destructive habits. Become aware of what behavior you want to change and confirm that it is something you genuinely want to alter. Understand that if you want to change and stop the vicious cycle of suffering, you're going to have to change and let go of the beliefs you're holding onto that are creating the suffering. If you don't want to change it, there's no point in continuing forward, but if you do want to change, then let's begin the process of letting go. Write down in exact, meticulous detail what happens with this behavior, how many times it happens, when it happens, etc. Don't spare any details. What are you feeling in the moment right before you begin the behavior? What's the feeling that triggers the behavior? Be honest with yourself. What specific thinking patterns are going on? What are you saying to yourself in the moment when this happens? Describe it in exact detail. What beliefs do you have around this habit? What conclusions have you made which compel you to feel like you have to perform this behavior or action? How do you feel when you believe that thinking? What do you believe will happen if you don't perform the behavior? In other words, what consequences do you believe will happen if you don't perform the action? Is it absolutely 100% true that it will happen if you don't perform the behavior? Can you see how destructive this thinking is and how much it causes you to suffer? Are you willing to let this thinking and behavior go now? Consult your inner wisdom and highest self. What is it trying to tell you? What is it trying to help you learn? How is it telling you to restore balance into your life? How is it telling you to grow right now? Create space and wait for an insight from infinite intelligence as to why you actually want to change. When you receive the insight, allow yourself to fully feel the freedom, peace, and joy. Feel the weight lifted off your shoulders. You'll know you did it right if you physically and energetically feel lighter, and if you don't see the action, habit in the same way anymore. Fully immerse yourself in the feeling of deep gratitude and just allow yourself to be. Write down any insight you've had and journal your experience you just had so you can have a documentation of these miracles in your life. What to do if the feeling comes back up again. Follow this guide again until you have an insight or breakthrough that completely changes the way you look at life. Thanks for watching. Do subscribe the channel for more updates on audiobooks. Do hit the like button if you liked the video. Don't forget to share it to your book-loving friends.